As markets continue to drop, we recently saw a huge drop also following the stock market in the 10-year bond yields. And that means that for investors, stocks are not good right now because money is coming out of stocks. People are selling, prices going down. But bonds would usually tend to be inverse to stocks, meaning that if stocks are falling, bonds are going higher, meaning that it is better in the eyes of the trader, in the eyes of the investors, to put money into bonds and wait for the market to get better than to keep money in the market. But guess what? Bonds are also going down, as we mentioned before and we mentioned on the last video. So both ways of making money with the stock market and just by getting yield out of bonds, none of them are good. So you would guess, well, money should of course flow into crypto. But as we're seeing right now, money is not flowing into crypto. Money is actually flowing to two things that a lot of us, new generation, like to talk shit about, which are properties, so real estate, and precious metals, so gold and silver, mainly gold. We talked about the gold to silver ratio in the last video, so you can check that out if you're interested. But our crypto, our stocks, they are melting. So us, new generation, cannot catch a break. In the meantime, when our parents, our grandparents in their 30s, they had already a home, a stable family, and a stable income, we at 30 can barely afford our groceries. So let's talk about this, the market conditions, and everything that can happen in today's video. So let's start with stocks and crypto. First, if you look at the world indices, the American stock market, which has yet to open, the pre-market is in the green. So you can see NASDAQ is actually up 1.60%. So that seems to be good, right? Well, I don't know if it's going to keep that gap by the time it opens because we're going to get into some news later. But we also have the majority of the markets that are open right now are in the red. We actually have Chinese markets that closed in the green today. So Chinese stock markets, they performed very, very well. The Nikkei, the Japanese stock market, closed again in the red, -4%. So everything is kind of all over the place. The Chinese market actually closed in the green for a single announcement, which is that China doubled down on their retaliation tariffs against the US, meaning that after the US taxed China, China doubled down with two taxes. Before it was around 34%, and then they added 50% on top of those tariffs, meaning that now it's going to be 84% on items. You can see the move would increase China's reciprocal tariffs on the US items to 84% from the 34 previously, as the trade war intensifies between the world's two largest economies. So this is not the beginning, neither the end for this tariff wars that we're seeing. These market wars are just going to increase. And if we know something is that Trump is not going to back out of it. We had some fake news also saying that Trump was going to give 90 days extra of no tariffs for every other country other than China. And this made the market move in the green a little bit, but then it was proven to be fake news and then the market just dumped once again. So nothing right now makes us think that Trump will indeed stop these tariffs or is going to try to come into any sort of arrangement with these countries. So in layman terms for you is get ready for a lot of turmoil in markets. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're watching this video because of stocks, guess what? Stocks most likely are going to suffer. If you're watching this video because of crypto, guess what? Crypto most likely is going to suffer. And funny enough, the only asset that is not hurting is gold. Gold is actually performing 14% in the green since the beginning of the year. So gold astonishingly doing very, very well. And another figure that is performing very, very well, still positive investors so far, is Warren Buffett, which is holding billions and billions of dollars, around $300 billion in cash, just waiting for everything to go downhill. And then he can buy things when no one wants them anymore. So very, very cheap. And he has been preaching that for decades now. And it's interesting to see his skin in the game. And when everyone thought, why is this guy keeping 300 billion in cash? Well, he saw something that we didn't. Is that insider trading? Well, we cannot say for sure. So let's jump into our cryptocurrencies that are not doing the worst, but are not the best either. We have Bitcoin with 77,694, Ethereum with 1488, we have XRP with 1.83, and BNB 561, and we have Solana with $106 per token. So in the 7 days, everything is red. You can see it is a red flood right here. There is just a few tokens, you can count them on your hands, a few tokens that are in the green. The Fear and Greed, which 2 videos ago were 17, then last video was around 19, and now it is back at 15, meaning that markets are scared shitless of what things are going to happen. And we can actually see that right here from the volume that we're seeing, which is increasing. You can see right down here that we had a little bit of an increase these past few days in volume. Still nothing compared to November, December, and January, which was election and then rally period. But still, we are seeing some movement, which is not good movement because it is a volume that is pushing down the price. It is not a volume that is pushing up the price as you may think. So even when we have green volume, meaning that it is more positive than negative, the candle does not move as much as you think. You can see that the candle actually almost stayed in the same with huge wicks on both sides. So that is not bullish at all. It is actually very bearish. So when we look to Ethereum, we actually don't even have the green volume. We only have red volume right here. So again, not a bullish scenario at all in the short term. And for Solana, we don't have a lot of volume whatsoever compared to all these other months, which is kind of sad. So all of this is happening in the world. Everything that Trump is doing could cause a Fed intervention. So this is what a lot of people are hoping for, that we're going to have an intervention. We already know that from 2 cuts that we're going to have for 2025, that number went up to 4. So we don't know what's going to happen if you're going to have more than 4 rate changes this year, either cut or increases. We have to wait. Jerome Powell, the Fed, hasn't been very vocal regarding this matter. So we have to wait because this, as always, will trickle down to the global economy affecting crypto as a whole. Now, we're still waiting to see confirmation of what I spoke in the last video, which is global liquidity bringing a bottom to Bitcoin by the end of April, beginning of May. So this cycle, according to that theory, which you can see in the last video, saying that the global liquidity has a 3-month skew if overlaid to Bitcoin price, meaning that Bitcoin price actually follows pretty right on the global liquidity chart, but with a 3-month skew, meaning that you have to push back Bitcoin by 3 months. And that brings that date by end of April, beginning of May that we spoke in the last video. So there isn't much to do right now unless you want to trade and bet that the market's going to go down, which you can do that with puts or by selling calls. If you're selling calls, you're pretty much an insurance for the other guy. So the other guy is going to buy a call, you're going to sell him a call, and you're going to make passive income out of that. And if nothing happens, if the market doesn't fall, but the market doesn't go up either, you get to keep that premium. And instead, if you want to bet because you believe the market will go down even more, you're going to buy a put, meaning that you're pretty much shorting the market. And that means that if the market goes down, you make money out of it. And where can you do that? Well, you can do that with Bitopics. So right here, if you go to Bitopics, here is the copy trading strategy. But if you don't want to be passive player, meaning that you don't want to just deposit and watch it grow, which by the way, this is very, very good because so far we had 81% return, and this 81% is in less than a year. Our projection is 100% almost in 1 year. If you don't want to do that, you can just come right here to options and select Bitcoin, for example, and switch to put. This way you're going to be shorting Bitcoin. Well, if you want to short Ethereum, for example, you can flip to Ethereum. If you want to short Solana, you can flip to Solana. If you want to actually sell, the first thing that I said, selling these options, you're going to sell a call. You just flip right here to sell call, and you select your token right here that you want to trade with. So it's fairly simple. We have videos going very in detail about all of this, and you can find them here in the channel. But nonetheless, we still are in a period of uncertainty, and when uncertainty is reigning, we see a lot of fear, and that can cause a panic movement by everyone. If someone says sell, everyone is going to yell sell, and everyone is going to start panicking, selling, panicking, thinking that Bitcoin is over, crypto's over, everything is over, they're going to lose money. And this way, they just end up hurting their financial prospects for the future instead of just waiting it out. So I hope you guys do smart decisions with your money. Again, check out Bitopics if you want to have a very reliable USDC or USDT yield farm for your stablecoins, or if you just want to trade options as a whole. So thank you so much. Be careful, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.